Hey, y'all. I hope that you are having a great new year. I was going to come on and do a video regarding planning for the new year, but God dropped something else in my heart. So I want to talk about that. Maybe the next video will be about that. But this is for someone who needs encouragement because you are frustrated. You're about to throw in the towel. You're about to give up. You throwing your hands up. You like, I'm tired. It's over. I can't do it no more. This video is for you. I need to tell you, this is for the people who have prayed, who have believed, who have forgiven, who have repented, who are doing what the Lord has told them to do, but they still have not stepped into what the Lord has promised. And so I need you to know one thing. Well, actually more than one thing, but I need to start off telling you one thing, and that is that the enemy will make the warfare more intense right before your promise comes. He will make it more intense. He will do all kinds of maneuvers. And so I don't want you to miss and to sabotage your own process right at the end, right? And he knows what he's doing because he wants to frustrate you out of continuing, okay? He wants to get you to sabotage your process. And so the first way that he will try to come at us, the first way he will try to get us to sabotage our own destiny is by making us feel weak and unworthy. That's exactly what he did with the children of Israel. You know, he had this phenomenal promise for them. He had the promised land for them. He got them out of Egypt. But when they saw the promised land, they felt weak. They were weary. And it's like, wait a minute, we really can't walk into our promised land. He told them it was theirs. And so they could not go in because they felt unworthy. They felt too weak. They did not see themselves the way God saw them. And so the enemy will do the same thing. He will wear you out and wear you down and trying to make you feel that you are weak and unworthy to go into, to apprehend, to take hold of the promises that he has for you. So don't do it. The next way that he will try to come against you is when it is an extended time of waiting. And everybody knows about Abraham and Sarah and how long they waited. And because they waited so long, and because they got frustrated, and because, they couldn't see what God was doing, and because they kept waiting and they were growing older and they were looking at their own bodies and all of these other things, they were like, well, maybe we should do something about it. Sabotage. They actually not only sabotaged themselves, but they sabotaged humanity because we're still dealing with the Isaac and the Ishmael conflict. Okay, that's everything that's going on with Palestine and Israel right now. Everything is because they decided to go on their own and get restless in their waiting. So do not create an Ishmael. Do not do it. But the third way that he does it is through wrath and wreckage. Wrath and wreckage. And the enemy will come in with wrath and with wreckage like he did with Joseph, right? The enemy actually used his brothers to start bringing circumstances of wrath and wreckage. First, they sold him, right, into slavery. Then he's falsely accused. When he's falsely accused of rape, then he ends up in prison. So it's like, how many years went by? Multiple years. I think it was over 15 years, or almost 15 years, that he was either in prison or he was working as a slave, sold out by his own brothers. And so he will try to demolish the potential of that promise even coming forth, because who's singing about Joseph in the prison? Nobody. Does it look like Joseph is going to be, second in line after a king? No, it didn't look like he was going to be in a position of authority and of prominence. But that's what the enemy does. He makes it look like it will never happen. And you can kind of piggyback with that one, even with Sarah and Abraham. Same thing, right? And so the enemy will work on the waiting. He'll bring wrath and wreckage. He will try to make you weak and feel unworthy. And the other thing that he will do is bring really, really heavy weariness. And when I think about the woman of Zarephath, was a widow, the widow of Zarephath, and the man of God, the prophet, God sent the prophet to her, and he asked for a cake, and she was like, you know what? We don't have enough. In fact, me and my son are going to eat this last cake and we're going to die. She had lost all hope. She had lost all anything of God coming through for her. And we do not want to get to that point. She couldn't even recognize the man of God who was there to bring her out of that, because she was like, she had given up everything. And so he will bring wreckage. He will bring wreckage that is so catastrophic looking, it will appear that you cannot even rebound. He did this with Ruth. Ruth lost her husband. She loses the place where she's living. She loses her community, her family, because she follows Naomi to her land. And then not only that, they don't even have any food. They have absolutely no food. So she got to go out in the field and pick up the leftovers that somebody else left. It went from bad to worse to worser, okay? But guess what? She ended up marrying a very prominent man. She couldn't see that. And I'm saying to you today, I know you might be frustrated. I know it might be hard. I know you are over it, sick of it, like it's enough. Do not give up, because that is exactly what the enemy wants. He wants you to give up. So the enemy wants you to give up. Look, listen, he's doing his job, right? He wants to steal, he wants to kill, he wants to destroy. He is, the Bible says, the accuser of the brethren. And so if he is all these things, if he does all of these things, he got a job to do, but you have a job to do too. And guess what? Your God is way bigger than him. And so how do you continue to move on and continue to progress and not allow yourself to be caught up in the enemy's plans? The first thing that you want to do is put a demand on God. Put a demand on God. You want to put a demand on God by declaring his word. You want to put a demand on God by reminding him of what he said. You want to put a demand on God by pulling out scriptures when you're praying. You want to put a demand on God and start doing it with your mouth, not thinking about it, not writing in and just kind of mulling it over. No. You need to start declaring those things out. You know, the Bible tells us, and this leads into my second point, the Bible tells us to bring him into remembrance of his word. His word is not just the written word. His word is the Rhema word. And so when you bring him into remembrance of his word, now he said that. I tell God, I'm like, listen, I didn't say this. You said this. You said bring you into remembrance of your word. Listen, a lot of times when I'm talking to God, I'm like, and you said, and this is what okay, like I put it on him, because the Bible, I did not write a lick of it, not a jot, not a tittle, but he did. And so I bring his word back to him. I bring his promises to me back to him. I bring whatever he says about me as a daughter back to him. And so that is how we contend. That is how we put a demand. That is how we remind God of the promises. And not only does it help us to remind him, to declare his word, to contend, but it also helps build our faith. When we are praying, when we are declaring, we are building our faith up, right? And, you know, faith is the substance of things hoped for. If we are speaking those things out, it is going into our spirit. It is going into our ears, right? And so the more we hear it, even if we are the ones saying it, the more we hear it, the more we're going to have faith. The more we have faith, the more we're going to say it. And so it builds our faith up. So not only do we want to make sure that we're doing all of those things, but again, these are for the people who are believing, who are praying, who have forgiven, who ain't out in sin, doing a whole bunch of stuff you know you're not supposed to be doing. And if you don't know what sin is, you can look in the Bible. It will let you know exactly. I don't have time to get into all of that right now, but you know what sin is. Anything that's against the word and principles of God. You want to make sure that you do not get offended. Do not hold on to anger. You got to forgive people, because let me tell you something. If you want to decrease your faith real quick, get into offense. Get into offense. Do not do it. I don't care what anybody is doing. You already know who's behind it, the enemy. So instead of getting in offense, what I would do to slap the enemy in the face is be a blessing to that person in some way. Maybe sow a seed to them. Maybe whatever. I don't know. Whatever that person likes, if they're a close friend or family member or whatever, do something to bless them. The enemy is behind it because he does not want you to come into your promises. And if he can sabotage or get you to sabotage yourself any way possible, he will do it. And one of the main ways is offense. Hear me. Offense. Don't get into offense. Let it go. See the enemy behind it, because I want you to come into everything that God has for you in 2025. I want you to walk in the blessings of heaven in 2025 and not to go around in circles, not to continue to be frustrated, and not continue to see other people walking into their blessings while you're sitting in the corner. Okay? Finally, the last thing, be obedient. Do whatever he's telling you to do. Don't come out of whatever lane he's told you to be in. If he's told you to do something, do it. Do not be in disobedience, okay? If you're in disobedience, if you're not where he needs you to be, doing what he's told you to do, when your blessing shows up there and you're over there, you're obviously not going to get it or see it or recognize it or be able to receive it. So be and do whatever he's called you to, all right? And that is, I had to add that in because I forgot that one, but be and do whatever he's told you to. And have a happy new year, y'all. See you later.